You are here, so that means you are watching Fama. Welcome. So, I'll be honest with you. I've been in the agricultural game for quite a number of years. And I've never been to a farm where there isn't animals, particularly black farms. Hey, what is it with us and animals, Buffet too? So here's one thing about animals. Just like crops, you also have to look after them. And the more you look after them, the more you can make money from them. But you know what, guys? Today I have someone that most of you guys should know. I mean, he was on the other show. So anyway, enough from me. Let's hear from him. Dr. Taps, welcome.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right, my man. Long time.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah?
It's been a minute.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, you know, Dr. Taps, I mean, I get one, you're always busy, man.
Yeah, no, we've been waiting for this invite for a very long time, brother. But thank you.
Anyway, Dr. Taps, please tell us your name, where you're from, and what do you do?
So I'm Dr. Thapelo Makae. I'm a qualified veterinarian. But right now, I'm enjoying the space of working within the nutrition side of animal health. You know, in the livestock space, working with a poultry, with swine or pigs, and going to start to venture into feedlot space as well.
So, how did you get into agriculture, my man? Like, what was your journey like?
So, you know, sometimes other people are blessed with a straight line journey, and some people are blessed with a meandering journey, not so straight. So mine was not particularly straight, because growing up, I've always wanted to be in the spaces of agriculture. But now, firstly, there's only one faculty, veterinary faculty in South Africa as we speak. There are new developments for 2026, 2027. But back then, you know, there's only one, and they can only take so many people to get into vet space. So I started through the route of animal science. You know, I did my BSc agriculture, animal science, did my postgrad, and then eventually got into veterinary science at the University of Pretoria on the support campus, where I believe my character was slightly challenged and sharpened.
So the veterinary sciences is not easy, ne? I know.
But in a good way, because, you know, it really challenges you beyond what you thought you can achieve. You know what I mean? So it was a good period.
Speaking of Dilodibo, what are some of the misconceptions about becoming a vet?
People in general believe that veterinary science is, they like to compare it quite a lot with human medicine. And those are two, you know, they are somewhat related. I'll make an example. You know, we do anatomy where we study the body, we study the bones and the muscles. The human medicine, they do the same. But unlike the humans who are studying one anatomy of a human being, we have to go through a number.
Yeah.
You know, we start with the dog, cats, cattle, horse, chicken, you know, so it goes on and on and on and on. It is quite challenging. It is fulfilling. So the misconception is that people would think that, you know, it's something that is not doable, especially for a black child. But hey, man, I'm proud to say there's been a number of young black graduates who are coming out and who are doing great things, especially in the what we call, you know, the rural areas, who are going back and, you know, they are giving back to the rural farmer. So it's a great space to be in.
So, and that's the thing that I enjoy about the agricultural space. It's growing.
Yeah.
Because the young people see, there is a need now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's always this misconception, right, man, agriculture is for old people. Hey, man, let them do their thing. But no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I mean, you are dealing with a live thing. I mean, I'll take an example. I'm emotional. So if I see a cow sick, my man, I feel sick. So how do you handle that emotional thing that you have, attachment and like kaskho? How do you handle that emotional attachment you have with the animal when you see that it's about to die?
So I think more than anything, it comes with time. It comes with experience, where you get into a space where, for instance, you'll be in a kraal and there's a number of animals not doing well, and you're trying to figure it out. I mean, I've been in instances where I've been called into a goat farm, and kids, goat kids were dying like flies. And it's draining because the initial step is trying to figure out. But in the process of trying to figure out, there's still animals dying, So it takes time for you to build that, emotional intelligence of allowing yourself to be present in that moment, try to help out where you can, try to figure out things wherever you can, so that, eventually when you come up with a solution, it's for the betterment of the farmer. So it takes time. But initially, it drains you a lot, especially when there's a high number of animals dying at once. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was still in the state, and when we had avian influenza outbreak, 2017, roundabout, and my brother, how sheba nama echayanda, those birds die like flies, and there's nothing you can do. Nothing, absolutely nothing you can do. Because by law, you need to slaughter them all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case they're carriers. So it weighs heavy. But after some time, it's one of those things like, hey, man, you do what you have to do, so that, you're able to prevent a similar thing happening again.
Speaking of which, we had a farmer here who lost 10,000 chickens in 7 days.
Hey, brother. So, some farmers lose a whole lot more in one day. That's how devastating some of these things are. It's really devastating. And with the recent outbreak that we had 2 years back in 2023, we only now starting to recover slightly. We're not
2 years later now, eh?
Hey, brother, it takes long. It takes long, and it sets back the economy, because you can't export. It sets back the farmer, because their livelihood is in there. So there's a lot of implication when you have disease outbreaks happening.
I mean, also from your side as a vet, how do you handle telling a farmer, listen, brah, we have to slaughter all your pigs or your chickens? Like,
so
how do you, the thing is, this lady was here. She said when they told her that, she literally almost had a stroke.
Yeah, because most of these farmers, especially the elderly ones, traditionally, you get farmers who've been working hard their whole lives, and they take their life savings because they believe that they want to contribute, they want to get into the agricultural space. They take their life savings, start a farm, believing that this is their big retirement opportunity to break through, and then you have outbreaks like this happening. So I think the most important thing is to remember, when dealing with human beings like that, you have to empathize, you have to have empathy, and you have to understand where they're coming from. What's important is you need to be brutally honest, yes, but how your honesty comes out also is important. You don't necessarily have to be cold, because like you said, that lady almost felt like she's having a stroke, because it dawned on them that, my life savings is gone.
Yeah, my entire life is gone.
It's gone. And the painful thing is that, the government, when you're going through such, now we're speaking AI, avian influenza, there's no compensation.
Yes. She said there's no compensation, and the insurance company said, sorry, we can't cover this.
Yeah. So how you deal with such situation, literally you have to have empathy, empathize with them, how you get the message across, trying to make them as best way as you know how to understand, what is it that they are going through. It will be very important because, again, you're not just dealing with, a nobody. You are also dealing with a potential customer. You are dealing with a potential client that you are going to have to take through that process of rebuilding, if ever they'll be able to do that, rebuilding their lives post such a traumatic event happening.
Speaking of all that stuff that has happened where people lost their flock and stuff, now let's talk about the basics. Do you understand? Prevention. So let's talk about the basics. Let's say now I am a chicken farmer. What are some of the basic stuff I have to follow in order to actually secure my farm from not, getting, let's say, avian influenza?
So, my brother, I think this is a conversation that has been had numerous times. And believe it or not, even some of the big farms are struggling with this topic, the biosecurity. Does it ring a bell?
I've heard that word so many times,
Yeah.
and yet so many farms. I went to a farm, I'm not going to mention names, but it wasn't for farming. And this gentleman has got pigs. There was no food bath. I said, Emuna, what are you doing? No, bro, you can't do that. It's like, no, I'll get like that. I'm like, no, my bro.
Spanish already. You must make sure that there's always, but for me, I every time when I have a conversation with a farmer, is that, and we discussing the whole issue around biosecurity, I tell them, Taps, your biosecurity does not start at the food bath. Biosecurity starts at the gate. Honestly speaking.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to have your boundaries right, your fencing right, your gate right. You need to be able to monitor who comes in, and you need to monitor whoever goes out. Everything, is cleaned up, and you're not taking whatever disease that you have there out, whatever disease that they're coming in with. In fact, they're not even supposed to come in. They need to stay out. So, spraying the tires, the vehicles, and all of those things. So biosecurity is very important. That's where you start mitigating. That's where you start preventing all sorts of diseases coming in. And after that, we have issues around vaccination programs. Luckily, especially for poultry farmers, most of the chicks that they get, they come in vaccinated. Certain number of vaccines. However, as the program goes on, you still need to revisit, make sure that you revisit, the vaccination programs, get in contact with your local vet and, draw up a program for you and make sure that, your flock or even your herd is up to date with the vaccinations. So those are some of the things that, it doesn't really take a whole lot. But once you slip up,
so let's talk. Is we are like halfway, not even halfway through Jan. Okay, it's been raining since the beginning of December. Now, all the people with animals now, what should have they done before it started raining to prevent pests and diseases like ticks and flies on their animals?
So, firstly, we are grateful for rain, right?
Of course, absolutely. I'm not complaining about the rain. I'm just saying it comes with mosquitoes and ticks and
Yeah. So it's well and good. We are happy that it's raining and all of that. I think what's important is there's nothing that you can do now as it rains. It's raining. You have to live with it. But you are going to have to think as a farmer, as a livestock farmer, especially if you've got livestock, cattle or sheep, goat, whatever that goes out grazing. you need to start thinking, what am I going to do when the rains slow down, or when the rains stop? Because now what we're going to be seeing quite a lot, kamora dipula, is we're going to have ticks. We're going to have a whole lot of worm issues. But now with ticks, there are other diseases that come with all of that. Your red water. You're going to have issues with midges. Those small flies that annoying ones. You're going to have issues with mosquitoes, like you said. So it's a time where you need to start thinking, okay, get my dipping program all in order to prevent all of that. Obviously, there are certain vaccines that you give in certain time of the year that you also need to start planning to have to give at that point. So there are certain mitigation strategies that, as a farmer, one can start implementing, or start at least to think of implementing once the rain have been reduced. But I think one other thing that we neglect is, when it rains a lot, it gets quite muddy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, way back, we spoke about, cattle or sheep that are huddled up in a kraal and in a muddy area. What happens? It's standing there for a long time, and the hooves are getting soft. Now there's a potential of hoof damage. There's a potential of bacterial infection, and then you have what? Foot rot.
Foot rot.
And those as well, you need to start thinking, if you've got big enough land, rotate where you keep your animals, so that they don't stand in one place, one muddy place for a very long time.
So a lot of people, I get DMs from farmers saying, when should I dip my animals? So there's a guy, he farms in Free State, I think Eastern Free State, and he farms with a whole lot of bonsmara. Okay, and it's raining, like now, it's been raining. And he asked me, bruh, I don't know, when should I start dipping my animals? Should I have done it before the rain or after? And also, why at that particular time?
So there are different times and reasons why you dip and when you dip. So obviously, before it rained, it was summer, you should have had his normal dipping program. So a normal dipping program, it will differ from region to region, but generally you'll try to dip every 10 to 14 days, just normal dipping that you do. But in highly infested areas, you try to dip more, meaning that you reduce the number of intervals before you dip. And then in the winter seasons, you increase the intervals. So you increase the number of days, the interval days in between where you dip. So it's very important for one to remember that, you keep the dipping program before it rains. Now, if you dip, what's going to happen? And it's raining.
It's not going to stay on the animal.
Exactly.
You're going to waste money actually buying dip, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly. But, what I would advise them is, especially when we start getting into the warmer days when there's less rain, they should resume their dipping program. But now it depends in which area. Is it highly infested? How often they should dip? And these are the conversations that, I would highly recommend that, always, whether they like it or not, you need to keep a vet on your speed dial, especially if you are a farmer, because they would understand the disease that you find in those areas of yours, how to control, what to control, and all of that.
And let's talk about nutrition. I mean, I'll take, for example, as a human being, if you don't eat right, you're sick more often. Does this also go hand in hand with animals?
100%. 100%. So for me, subsequent to me running around being a a cowboy vet, wanting to treat and, inject. And I realized, you can prevent a lot of things with proper nutrition. What does that mean? It means that you also taking care of the GIT, of the gut, of the intestines, of the rumen, all the compartments, and if it's a monogastric or poultry or swine, you're taking care of the intestines where most of the absorption happens. So nutrition is important because you give good quality nutrition. In fact, back in vet school, we were taught that, especially in ruminants, in cows and sheep and goats, you are not necessarily feeding the animal, but you're feeding the microbes in the intestines, in the gut. So you need to take care of those microbes, the good microbes, so that they generate energy from the feed so that it is absorbed by the animals. So good nutrition is imperative. You need to make sure that you give animals proper nutrition, and most people tend to forget good quality water.
I was just about to ask you, what about the water?
Good quality, clean, fresh water is very important. Because I tell farmers, if you see, let's say you get water from the tap to give your dog, for instance, and it's murky, brownish, would you drink that? If you're not gonna drink that, why are you giving your animal such? Same on the farm, where there's drinking troughs. You need to make sure that the troughs are clean, the water is fresh all the time. If there's any leakages, you fix those leakages, because that's where disease also sit around the water troughs. Because remember, bacteria lives nice, moist and warm and muddy environments.
So a lot of farmers that I know, lona di vet ha ba le batle. Ba re latura. So a lot of guys tend to administer medicine themselves. What advice do you have for some of those guys?
You know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with a farmer administering miriana or vaccines on the farm for his livestock. But what is important is, when they administer, they must make sure that they know what they're administering, and then ba hlabela for eng lebaka.
Exactly.
And they need to understand how. If they're not sure, there are para-veterinary colleagues around. There are plenty of animal health technicians, who can advise, who can show. So for me personally, I don't know about some of my colleagues. There's nothing wrong. But there are those instances where certain things you have to call in a vet. You can't thumb suck and assume. Because there are those instances where farmers have had an opportunity to work very closely with a vet, and they tend to have an idea of what's happening. Having an idea is all good, but is it accurate, what you are potentially diagnosing? So getting training, it's very important. Have a conversation with the vet when they come through. Stick around, look at what they're doing, and if you've got an issue, he's a phone call away. Because some of the farmers, they tend to, when you visit the farms, they're not there. It's the herdsman who's there. And that's why for me, I enjoy having a conversation.
With the actual farmer?
No, in fact, there's nothing wrong having a conversation with the farmer. There we have high-level technical conversations. But if we want to get to the bottom of what the issue is, have a conversation with the herdsman.
Yeah, he deals with the animals every day.
Every day.
Every single day, yeah.
Exactly. That's where you'll understand. That's where you know. In actual fact, the problem is 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And then it gives you an idea. There's nothing wrong having a conversation with the farmer, but some information gets lost.
Yeah. Yeah, he's busy doing other things. But the herdsman, his core job is the animals.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You can see what the weather's doing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand. So how, with the weather doing what it's doing now, in terms of climate change, how is that impacting animal health in general, according to your experience?
So what we've seen over the past couple of seasons, couple of years, is that, like you said, the weather patterns have changed. You know, when it's supposed to be raining, I mean, last year, for instance, we received our first rains very late.
Yeah.
So now the seasons are pushed back somewhat. So now what does that mean? It means that diseases that you normally see at a certain period of the season, you don't see them at that point, you see them later on. So you also need to readjust how you do your things. So that's why you must back about.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't take it for granted that, Norman, it's raining late until May, June, which is not normal, especially in the summer rainfall areas. And then in the winter rainfall areas, it's raining in summer. So everything is,
Yeah, it's a bit
it's dear
makar,
Makar. Yeah. So that is important for one to be able to remember. But, to answer your questions, that you find diseases that you see at a certain period not being seen at that period, being seen in a different period. Because now, for instance, the ticks, they come in at a later stage when you never used to see them. Or different disease that are passed on by ticks are seen in a different stage.
Here's a random question. You deal primarily with, obviously, animals from the farm, like cattle, sheep, and goats. What are the most common issues you get with these animals? Let's start with cattle. What is like the common issue? Like every time you get into a farm, you're like, man, guys, what is that common issue that a lot of people overlook, but somehow it always, it slows their business down?
So for me personally, what I've seen, we spoke about nutrition earlier, the importance of nutrition. I've had a number of encounters of issues around malnutrition, where animals are not getting enough feed, animals are not getting enough water, and they're taken out to field and like, no. Yeah. They'll get feed there, but is there enough feed? And then what happens that they lose weight, they don't, the condition scoring is very low, and then you have other issues that are related to that. So in most instances, over and above your normal disease that you find, your red water, which is babesia, or I don't know if you remember, some time back we had a lengthy chat around different diseases, mainly brucellosis.
Yeah, brucellosis. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do find those, but now where do you get those mostly? Especially your brucella and all of that is where you purchase your animals, because now
at auctions.
I didn't say that.
I'm just saying.
Why
does have a
So it can be anywhere. It can be, Tabs has animals. I don't know where Tabs got his animals from, but he's selling, and I'm interested in increasing number of herd in my kraal. And the most important thing, record keeping.
Oh, yeah.
Where, I'm able to check, your program. What did you do? When did you vaccinate? You vaccinated for what? And all of that. I don't care. And apparently is pregnant, I'm going to buy. Kanti, this animal is carrying, you know,
Yeah.
some diseases and stuff. So you find, you know, those are the common things that you will see, you know, in young animals, you know, diarrhea which is caused by bacterial infection, you know, because they're not suckling enough colostrum, which is the first milk,
Yeah.
with a whole lot of antibodies from the mother, because the mother wasn't getting enough nutrition, or the mother wasn't properly vaccinated. So it's just a snowball of a whole lot of things. But for me personally, it's malnutrition that, you know, I tended to see, you know, driving around and trying to help out wherever I can.
So yeah, I've had a farm friend of mine. So he bought an animal in the Val. His farm is in Limpopo. Beautiful bull, blah blah blah. Everything was sharp. Paperwork is good. Takes the bull there. 7 days later, bah, the bull dies. So before now, I go and buy an animal from far away, from where I actually am farming. What are some of the aspects I should consider first? Let's say now I farm in Limpopo, I want to buy an animal in KZN. What should I look out for first before I even think of getting a trailer and go and fetch that thing?
So we spoke about different diseases or different parasites in different regions, where you'll find, you know, certain type of ticks in KZN that are not found in Limpopo, that transmits different tick diseases. So the first thing that, you know, farmers need to think of is to try to make sure that the treatment protocol before they transport the animals is done correctly. Speaking to the farmer, speaking to the vet, dipping and dosing, you know, for internal parasites before moving. But at the same time, when they get to Limpopo, there's another program that they need to follow, because now it's coming from a different region. Now it's being introduced in an area where it has never been. It has never been exposed to whatever disease that are found there. And now, literally, these things, they happen so fast. If, for instance, when we're talking about red water, which probably caused the death of that bull because, you know, it got bitten by some or other ticks in that region, and then it couldn't handle it, and then it died. So normally there's what they call a block program, where they block certain diseases from, you know, manifesting or growing further in the animals, causing its death. So that's why, you know, you can't, and we see it quite a lot, where tabze, you know, kyolo tlhapitori mfana ona le plotonyana, oya somewhere go Free State, in the Eastern Free State, picks up an animal, shoops, we isa ko plotonya hai, ha fitla da so ke mathata. So because why? They are not aware that, you know, you cannot just. And it doesn't happen to all of them. They didn't survive sharp. But there'll be that one, Chief. There'll be that one that, you know, it's slightly expensive. And those are the ones, yeah? Those are the ones that, you know. But you know what's funny, Tapsina? What I find interesting, what I honestly find interesting is that these high-valued animals, because we treat them like, you know, an egg, you know, that's all.
Well, you almost said something there, but go on.
But now, those are the ones that get very sickly because they're not exposed.
Yeah.
Because the bodies have not built enough immunity to fight off whatever challenges that they. What is it?
Bobobi. Yeah, yes.
Bara bobobi, bartender.
The funeral.
Mkete,
manyalo. There's a white name for the dog, Afrikaner.
Canis.
Canis
Africanus.
Yeah.
So those dogs, for some reason, because they are lingering around everywhere, they're exposed. Believe it or not, those dogs, they're much immunity is much stronger than the dogs that you get Modi Sabapo.
Yeah.
Because Modi Sabapo, you get like a Mojarte.
Yeah.
Ah no, Bob Steaking Pitukio local strategy.
Attend your funeral.
Attend that, so Wakulumaka, or Jale Sapo here, Jale Furanyana there.
That's not the correct way to raise an animal, but go on.
It's not. You know, don't get me wrong, it's not. But what I'm saying is that you find, you know, these most high valued animals are the ones that that tend to get more sickly because of exposure to certain, you know, disease, I might say, to be able to build their own immunity.
So basically, essentially, it's like there's two types of parents. There's that parent who's like, the child will, it's fine, you'll get up. And then there's a parent when the child falls, oh, my baby. And you find that this baby is the one who's not going to survive. So it works the same with animals.
More or less the same, yeah.
That's okay, but there's no ways I'm going to take my 2 million rand bull to go and fool like
No. So and that is also part of biosecurity. For instance, when you get a brand new animal, you cannot just high feed like jarting, you mix it up with the rest of, you know, you isolate it for about 2 weeks or so on its own, and then just monitor it and see what happens and treat it for whatever that needs to be treated, and, you know, monitor it for about 2 weeks. Okay, now it's ready to be integrated into the rest of the herd. Then why? Because as much as it comes through with full history, full vaccination program, you know what's happening, you don't know what else it might be having lingering that might, you know, infect, might spread across your herd. So it's very important for animals when they arrive, just isolate them for a while, keep an eye. If they survive 2 weeks, 2.5, then maybe, you can start integrating them.
And lastly, Dr. Taps, I mean, so what, you see the agri sector is growing, thank goodness for that.
That's good.
Yeah, what advice do you have for that young person who's watching this and like, you know what, I want to be a vet?
Passion. The reason why I say that is, Taps, you know, as much as, you know, we are out there and there's Dr. Tabs there and there's Dr. whoever, you know, going farm to farm, it's a selfless type of work. Selfless in the sense that you're always thinking about not yourself, obviously. You shouldn't. Well, you kind of should, but you're not on top of the food chain. You should be thinking about that farmer that you're trying to help. You need to think about the animal that you're trying to help. Secondly, it's a thankless, sometimes, occupation where, you know, people feel entitled to your service. But you give that service and people try to come up with excuses. Hey, I'll rather do it myself. And then when things go south, then they call you, but they call you late, and now guess who gets the blame? Exactly. So I think passion, firstly, remember that, and hard work, man. And I suppose it goes with anything that you want to do, not only in a veterinary or agricultural space. You know, you just need to be determined to, you know, to push your own agenda in whatever, whether you want to be a vet or you want to be a farmer or an engineer or flipping electricians or a plumber, whatever. You know, you have to have passion with, and then the rest will follow. I promise you, it will follow. It might not follow at the time that you want. It will take time.
Yeah, well, I have a story about that, but anyway. Wow.
But when it comes, it will come. Yeah.
Taps, one more thing, my man. Who do you look up to in the veterinary science? Who's that person you see like, yeah, this guy, he actually inspired me to do this?
There's a number of guys, man, because, you know, it's firstly, there's not a lot of us. But the number is increasing. But unfortunately, the guy that I worked with before I actually came through to study veterinary science, unfortunately, he passed away after I submitted my master's thesis. I worked very closely with him, Dr. Louis Schwabach, some Portuguese chap, very hard-working guy, and he really pushed, hey man, you can do this thing, go ahead and do. But now in the field, there's a whole lot, man. I'm in a group of poultry vet society, in the pig vet society, in the ruminant vet societies. There's a number of them, and number of hard-working guys. So some of them are, they shoot from the hip. You might not like what they're saying, but it's the truth. And sometimes, some of these things you don't take them personally. They're meant to force you to reflect and to change the way you do things, change the way you see things. So there's a number of guys, man. There's a number of guys. I don't want to mention one besides the one that I mentioned who is late now, because now I'll be forced to mention the rest. Like no one beats all how many beats, all
don't worry.
But Taps, wait. Is it what? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, you can ask me anything.
Yeah, tell me. So, where now the whole agricultural space? I mean, you've been doing this for a minute. Yeah, it's been a while. How are you finding it? Do you see yourself transitioning from? Don't give me the look.
What do you mean transition?
Hey, Chief, I agree you're in the agriculture.
And
you've had a number of interviews. You've interacted with a number of specialists and guys. Do you see yourself transitioning and owning a farm of some sort?
No.
Even that came out so fast.
No,
it's not that bad.
I like my sleep. And I like not stressing.
And like times we're not at that TV.
Oh, TV. That's what. This is my farm. I'm farming content. That's what I'm doing. You want me to wake up like, now I must feed these animals. I've got no money. And then James doesn't come to work. I like this. This is my farm.
Taps. Make sure that I don't bring your passion for agriculture into question, Papa.
Yeah, and I'm very passionate about agriculture.
However, not that passionate.
I want to wake up at 9, not at 4 a.m. What for? No.
Chief, it's a lot, man.
The thing is, one thing I appreciate about agriculture and everybody in it, from the farmers to the service providers to you guys, everybody's passionate. Everybody's working for, nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you work very, very hard, and the end result is not always what you want. I'm talking about the farmers, even you guys, because I've seen how vets are treated. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen where the farmer's like, but what do you mean I must buy this thing? Now I must buy this thing. Whereas that vet is telling you from a professional point of view. But one thing I appreciate about you guys in agriculture, as I told the other farmer one day, y'all are crazy, but it's your craziness that are feeding us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, that's 100% true. That's 100% true. Like I said, sometimes it's a thankless job, but again, different people are driven by different reasons. Some are driven by money. And it's okay. I mean,
that's fine.
It's your driver, me bra.
Exactly.
You have to live. Some people are driven by seeing other people happy, and it's okay. And some people are driven by their own success, and success for you is different for me. We've got different views on success. So I think that's very important for us to remember. And pushing your passion, I promise you, man, pushing your passion gives you an opportunity to sleep well at night and wake up at freaking 9 o'clock. Who does that?
Me. Dr. Thapelo, man, thanks a lot for coming through, man.
Yo, thanks. I mean, it's been what? How many years I've been
My man's
waiting?
like, fine, 4 years or something? This
Chief,
was ridiculous.
you got me sitting like this, looking at the phones like, Tap's gonna call. Can't Tap's don't.
I get it.
He's busy running around there.
Like I said, this is my farm. In order for a farm to flourish, you have to plant. So I was busy planting.
Yeah, you're
seeds.
planting, yeah.
Now I'm starting to harvest.
Yeah, no, big harvest, big harvest.
Big
yeah.
harvest. Dr. Thapelo, thanks a lot for coming through.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, this is not the end, eh?
We'll do it again, most definitely.
Of course.
You know, call me up. I come jumping, Taps. I come jumping.
And thank you guys for visiting Fama. As Dr. Thapelo said, passion and hard work. That's all it takes. Please continue watching Fama. Please continue sending us those DMs because you guys love to do that. And please continue visiting all our platforms. Once again, thank you and see you again on the next one.